Hey there, fellow travelers. John Carswell here. This episode of the Tolkien Road is brought to you by my latest book, Tolkien's Overture, concerning the music of the Ainur. In Tolkien's Overture, I explore the Middle-earth creation story, Ainulindale, and the role that music plays in the stories of the Silmarillion, the Hobbit, and the Lord of the Rings. Furthermore, I look closely at the musical nature of important characters like Melkor, Sauron, Luthien, Tom Bombadil, Legolas, Galadriel, and many, many more. To get a free copy of Tolkien's Overture, head on over to Tolkien'sOverture.com. Enjoy the episode. The Tolkien Road, Episode 145, The Hobbit, Chapter 2, Roast Mutton. All right, go ahead. The Tolkien Road, 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 the Tolkien Road of Tolkien, the Road of Tolkien, the Road of Tolkien. Hey there, fellow travelers. Welcome to the Tolkien Road, a long walk through Middle-earth. On this episode, we continue our journey through The Hobbit with Chapter 2, Roast Mutton. Before we get started, please head on over to iTunes and leave the Tolkien Road a rating and feedback. It's a great way to show your support for the show and takes less than a minute. You can also stop by TolkienRoad.com, learn about previous episodes, and say hey. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/TolkienRoad and on Twitter via @TolkienRoad. Thanks for listening and enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tolkien Road. John here. Greta.
Hey, hey.
What in the world is going on with you?
You kind of threw me. I wasn't expecting you to say what in the world. That was like a dramatic lead up to a
clarify.
Mundane question.
Let me clarify.
Okay.
I don't really care. I'm just making small talk.
Awesome. Well, even if you
Husband of the year right here.
Even if you did care, you probably already know. So
this is true.
Yeah.
Special thanks to our executive producer, Sharon Burgess. This is The Hobbit, Chapter 2, Roast Mutton. Roast Mutton.
Mutton? What is blimey mutton?
I love it when you try and do a British accent.
I know, it's really bad. It's really bad.
It's cute though.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, the try, you're giving it the old college try, which I appreciate.
I will say, I think my attempt at a British accent is still better than my attempt at a Brooklyn accent. I can't do a Brooklyn accent to save my life.
Are you sure about that? You want to let us be the judge?
Nah, that's not right now.
Are you sure?
I don't think Brooklyn accents have any connection whatsoever to Tolkien and or The Hobbit. So we'll just slide on by that.
Hey, what are you talking about here? Huh?
Is that Brooklyn?
I thought it was.
Maybe I don't know what a Brooklyn accent is. Maybe that's my problem.
I don't know. We're kind of getting into politically incorrect territory.
I can do a pretty good Boston accent.
These days, someone's, you're going to try to be having fun with something like that, and someone's going to reach out to you and, tell you you're a horrible person or something like that. But
yeah, we don't want to go there, I guess.
Don't want to go there.
No.
Maybe we'll just edit this whole sequence out. I don't know.
I don't know.
Or we can just accept the fact that we're probably horrible people and live our lives, continue with it. Anyway, The Hobbit.
Yes.
The Hobbit, Chapter 2, Roast Mutton. So, here we are. Bilbo has just been introduced to the dwarves in Chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Oh, darn, I forgot to start the backup. Well...
Maybe we should just start over then.
No, we'll just go ahead and start it now, and hopefully I won't need the backup.
Okay.
Anyway, so Bilbo wakes up, and at first he's relieved that the dwarves are gone. Right? He wakes up the next morning. The dwarves seem to be gone. There's no sign of them. Right. Well, there's signs of the fact that they were there, but they're not there present.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
But at the same time, he wakes up and it says he was a trifle disappointed. Right?
Yeah.
It says, indeed, he was really relieved after all to think that they had all gone without him and without bothering to wake him up. And yet, in a way, he could not help feeling just a trifle disappointed. Right? It's that old Took coming out in him.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
That Tookish
genes.
nature.
Mm-hmm.
The Tookish ancestry coming out within him. So He's a trifle disappointed that the dwarves have gone and left him behind, but that doesn't last very long, right? He sits down, kind of starts making himself breakfast. By this time, it's time for second breakfast, just to clarify, right?
So he slept in a bit.
I think he slept past first breakfast.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's time for second breakfast already. It was a late night, right? I mean, it went past...
Stressful, too.
Well past supper time.
Yeah.
Right?
He needed some time to recover.
Yeah. So, here he is making himself a nice second breakfast. And Gandalf shows up and says, Bilbo, what you doing? Right?
Yep.
Where are you? Why aren't you down with the dwarves? And actually, he refers to a note that the dwarves have left on the mantelpiece.
Right.
Right. A couple of little points to make about this note. It's kind of direct. It's a contract, and it says terms: cash on delivery, up to and not exceeding 1/14 of total profits, if any. All traveling expenses guaranteed in any event. Funeral expenses to be defrayed by us or our representatives if occasion arises and the matter is not otherwise arranged for. Right? Got to throw the funeral expenses in there just in case that's not clear.
Right.
If you die, we're not paying for it. Just saying. Right?
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to take that deal?
Well, actually, so I guess it means that to be defrayed by us or our representatives, right? So
I think it means they'll help.
Yeah, defrayed.
Right? Isn't that what defrayed means? It means that they'll contribute?
It's not the word I normally use. Let's
it's
see
not.
Here. No, let's see. I'm going to type it into the old Google here.
Yeah.
Defray. Provide money to pay a cost or expense. Well, we knew that.
So maybe it just means, like I said, they'll help pay for it, but they're not guaranteeing they'll cover the entire cost.
Or it could mean they'll pay the entire cost. I don't know.
Could.
It could mean either one.
Okay, well, otherwise, it's, either way, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah, well, they're at least gonna cover it if he dies.
Right.
So, it's interesting. Not something you normally think of seeing in a contract, right? In case of death, we'll help pay for your funeral.
Well, it depends what job you're being hired for.
That's true. Actually, I think that's probably pretty kind of standard idea in a dangerous job.
Yep.
But who knows? At least talking about those kinds of things.
Yes.
So, anyway, I just think it's, I think I want to come back to that. He was not, he was a trifle disappointed, right? Because I think this is an important theme to remember here that Bilbo, one of the things we talked about in chapter 1, Bilbo is part of him does want to go on this adventure.
Yeah.
There's a part of him that wants to go on this adventure. That was something awoke in him when he heard the dwarves talk about far away over the misty mountains cold, right? When he heard them sing this song, and he's drawn, I think, to the mystery. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
I would agree.
I mean, that's one of our themes that we're gonna see in this chapter as well. I like that he runs out the door, and I just like the way this is put here, right? To the end of his days, Bilbo could never remember how he found himself outside. Gandalf kind of shoves him out the door, and it says, without a hat, a walking stick, or any money, or anything that he usually took when he went out. Leaving his second breakfast half finished and quite unwashed up, pushing his keys into Gandalf's hands, and running as fast as his furry feet could carry him down the lane past the great mill across the water, and then on for a mile or more, right? Mm-hmm. And he forgets a pocket handkerchief. I mean, come on, man.
How very ungentlemanlike of him.
I know.
That's just
inexcusable. Shows up without a pocket handkerchief. Unbelievable. No, I think of myself when I'm like, I'm just going like out to run an errand, or going to work out 20 minutes away at the gym, and I have to take like all this stuff with me just to do that. It takes me 5 minutes or more just to get out the door for something like that. Yes. Right.
And here Bilbo's going on a basically there's no end date. What's that called? If there's no end date, it's an open-ended
journey.
Yeah, an open-ended journey.
Yes.
It reminds me of that passage in one of the Gospels where Jesus is sending out the disciples, and he tells them, don't take a second cloak, don't take a walking stick, don't take anything. Mm-hmm. Right? And obviously his point is that he just wants them to trust.
Yeah.
Right? And to be open to receiving the hospitality of those that they meet. Mm-hmm. Right? Whereas Bilbo is kind of doing the same thing, but not because he was commanded to. I think just because maybe that tookish gene in him got the best of him.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't wait to get started.
Well, and no, that's a great allusion, and great reference there. I think it is, Gandalf here, I think represents, in a way represents providence, right? That, or at least the idea of trusting in providence. Like what Jesus was telling his disciples to do when he sent them out initially, right? And the reference there, for those of you who don't know, is this is before Jesus' ascension, or before the Great Commission, where he sends the apostles out to baptize the nations, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. This is before that, before Jesus' passion or any of that. When he sends them on kind of a little mini mission to the people of to the Jewish people, basically to the people of Israel, right?
Yep.
So he tells them to go out 2 by 2 and pretty much take nothing with them, right? Just trust that you'll be provided for.
Yep.
Right. Now Gandalf doesn't say trust that you'll be provided for here, right?
No, right, exactly.
But it's more of the sense of how much is that stuff really weighing you down? How much of our lives are spent hedging our bets and being careful?
So true. Yes.
There's definitely a place for that. But maybe this adventure is not one of those places, and maybe this is a big lesson that Bilbo needs to learn. Right?
Could be. Could be. Yeah.
Anyway.
I think the thing that bummed me out the most was that he forgot his hat. Because as all good journeymen / hikers know, you need a good hat.
Don't forget your hat.
Don't forget your hat. I mean, a handkerchief, that would have been helpful. A walking stick would be nice, but I don't know. I feel like a hat. That's the biggest deal here.
Did you know Mark Knopfler has a song called "Don't Forget Your Hat"?
Are you for reals?
Yeah.
I did not know that. How did I not know this?
Well, it's not one of his more famous songs. But yeah, there it is on the album Privateering.
Don't forget your hat.
For those of you who don't know, we're huge fans of Mark Knopfler.
We love Mark Knopfler.
Formerly of the Dire Straits. He's the guy that did the Princess Bride soundtrack. And he is just an incredible songwriter and one of the great guitar players as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
yeah. And I've always felt like one of the reasons I'm so drawn to him is it's something similar to a reason why I'm drawn to Tolkien. Because of, I don't know, I can't get into that right now. I'd just be speculating anyway to put it into words, but I know within myself there's kind of a similar thing I love about Mark Knopfler that I love about kind of an appreciation for old English and British culture and kind of the Northern European culture. It comes out in Mark Knopfler's music quite a bit.
Yeah,
so. And there's a sense of wanderlust there too that is a big part of Tolkien's works.
Yes.
Right? So
I totally get that.
Anyway, little caveat there.
I'm going to have to go listen to that song.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a neat song. Not one of my favorites, but but he does have a song called "Don't Forget Your Hat," and maybe that's kind of what it's about. I don't know. I've never really listened that closely to the lyrics. So anyway, Bilbo's out the door, and he's heading down to Bywater to meet up with the dwarves.
Yes,
the dwarves have not actually left Hobbiton just yet. So he gets there and he says, "I'm awfully sorry. I've come without my hat and I've left my pocket handkerchief behind and I haven't got any money. I didn't get your note until after 10:45 to be precise." And I love that Dwalin says, "Don't be precise." Stop. Don't be a nerd. Right? To be precise, right? To be precise is one of those nerdy things that people sometimes say, right?
Yes.
And be precision is fine.
There is definitely a time and place to be precise.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, on an adventure like this, it can probably come off kind of nerdy, especially when you're around a bunch of, rambunctious, adventurous dwarves.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to be talking about, to be precise, using your nerd voice. Right?
Yeah, no, you're right. I hadn't picked up on that, on that little snippet from Dwalin, but that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because that's something that you've already, Bilbo's already halfway there. Like, he forgot everything almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're just basically, like, telling him, just finish the job. Like, forget everything and don't worry about forgetting anything. Like, just go with the flow.
Yeah.
That's what adventures are for.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I've never wanted, in all the travels that we've done, I've never wanted to do like a bus tour or like, a guided whatever where they plan out all your stops
Right.
and everything. Because that just takes, not that there's, for some places that's probably a good thing to do. But if you can plan your own adventures, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't really have a lot of, this about me. I don't really have a lot of interest in going on like a planned kind of tour of, someplace.
Yeah.
I'd rather just wander around myself.
Yeah. Just leaves you open to doing all kinds of other,
Mm-hmm.
To follow the road wherever it may lead.
Not all who wander are lost, Greta.
No, they're not. You are absolutely right.
I came up with that myself.
Wow. Genius.
Totally.
Genius. We should put it on a t-shirt.
Oh, yes.
And mugs.
I mean, Tolkien should have included that in one of his books. For crying out loud.
I'm surprised he didn't.
Yeah.
It sounds totally like something Tolkien would say.
I mean, it would have been a great thing to kind of, maybe describe Aragorn in a cryptic way,
You think?
Yeah.
Huh. I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry you missed the boat on that.
I just had my mind blown.
Too bad I wasn't there to feed that one to him. Johnny Boy.
Oh, man.
Here you go. Well, I guess Ronnie Boy. Because he went by Ronald.
Oh,
Even though his first name was John. What up? John's the greatest name
it's a great
ever.
Name. It is a great name. Yeah.
Anyway.
But we digress.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that Dwalin says don't be precise.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just no room for precision in adventures.
Yeah.
You need to be open to wherever the road leads.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Now, it's important to note, Gandalf does show up with some pocket handkerchiefs and, most importantly, Bilbo's pipe and tobacco.
# Providence.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good one.
Thanks.
No, I like that. So, we're not completely up the creek without a paddle, as they say.
Right. He has some provisions now.
Right.
He's been made a bit more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah. So, next we find one of first.
Look, and they even have an extra cloak for him.
Boom.
So, pretty much everything he forgot. The only thing that they don't have for him that he forgot is his walking stick, and he can pick one of those up by the road.
There's walking sticks everywhere.
Walking sticks everywhere.
It can be kind of hard to find a good walking stick, though, right?
Yeah, it can be. But, they're going to be walking for so long. And
What did Brennan name his walking stick again?
Oh.
Wes, right?
Wes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he named when we were out in in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Did he find it at the Grand Canyon?
It may have been the Grand Canyon. It was one of the national parks out in Arizona.
I think it was
Utah.
Zion, actually. I think he found it at Zion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he named it Wes.
Wes.
And Wes did everything. Wes was partly walking stick, partly imaginary baseball bat. Right.
An imaginary friend,
yeah.
too.
Well, yeah.
Wes was what really helped Brennan make it up all those switchbacks.
Yes.
At Bryce Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
Those were not for the faint of heart.
Mm-mm.
But I just had to keep reminding him that Wes was in that with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he made it, and we have the sweetest picture of him and Wes at the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sweet.
Right on.
Yeah. And so walking sticks.
They're
walking sticks are very important.
Mm-hmm.
They can be the difference between, an enjoyable hike and a disastrous hike.
Yeah.
Or a hike that doesn't even happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can be a good friend.
Most deaf.
So hopefully Bilbo finds one.
Let's talk some landscapes because you got a landscape here. And again, Tolkien was really good at landscapes, and starting with The Hobbit, right? And maybe before that, but like that to me has always been one of the key aspects of his verisimilitude in his works.
Mm-hmm.
He really seems to be able to envision these places.
What was that word you just used? Start with a V?
Verisimilitude.
I've never heard that word before.
Yeah, you have.
Have I?
We've used it on this show before.
Oh. What is it? Does it mean landscape?
No, verisimilitude means the appearance of reality. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is it like a way of writing to make a place seem real?
Exactly.
Got it.
Right, and just to make your story seem real.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Different ways of making it seem real.
Got it.
So, he calls this, so they go through Hobbit lands, and then they They're nice, decent folk, good roads, inn or two, and now and then a dwarf or a farmer ambling by on business. Then they came to lands where people spoke strangely and sang songs Bilbo had never heard before. And then they come to the Lone Lands, right? This is kind of out in the frontier, right? It's not so friendly out here. And I like that it says on some of them were old castles with an evil look, as if they had been built by wicked people. They're going from kind of a happy place, like out for a long walk, right?
Yeah.
To kind of a dangerous place. And it's not long before Bilbo has got the spirit of adventure out of his system a little bit. He says, I'm sure it starts raining, and that's miserable. He says, and I'm sure the rain has got into the dry clothes and into the food bags. Bother burgling and everything to do with it. I wish I was at home in my nice hole by the fire with the kettle just beginning to sing. Right? So he's already wishing he was back home. Right? He's not even like a tenth of the way there yet,
He's kind of he's been on a bit of a roller coaster, right? From like just not being able to wait to get started.
Right.
Right. And then being, to do this is awesome. And then this stinks. I want to go home.
Not so much.
Yeah. But rain will do that to you.
Well, and here a little bit later, I like how he puts it here. Bilbo is sadly reflecting that adventures are not all pony rides and May sunshine, right? So adventures are not all fun and games, in other words.
Unfortunately.
It's about to get real.
Real.
Yeah.
Totes real.
What happens is that this pony, one of their ponies, takes a fright and bolts. And he gets into the river before they can catch him. And Feely and Keely almost drown. And then all the baggage that this pony was carrying gets washed away. So not only is everything wet from the rain, but now they've lost a bunch of packages. And there was food, a lot of food in this package, apparently.
And also, Gandalf is gone.
Right. Gandalf just kind of disappears on them.
Yeah.
And so here you are, the dwarves, 13 dwarves, and one hobbit. And they're all wondering where Gandalf went.
Yeah.
So, in the midst of all this, they're kind of wondering, what do we do next? And they spot this fire. So it's starting to get dark, and they spot this fire off in the distance. And they think to themselves, oh, maybe there's somebody that could help us.
Right.
Some of the dwarves say, yeah, we should go check it out. Some of them say no. They're out in the Lone Lands after all, right? This isn't necessarily going to be friendly people.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
So what's their answer? Well, they decide that they're going to go up closer, and as they get closer and closer, they decide that Bilbo needs to be the one to go up and check it out because he's a burglar, or so they think.
Right.
So Bilbo goes up to investigate, and he's kind of, he's kind of feeling it,
Yeah, I think he's excited for the opportunity to prove himself.
Absolutely. And he stumbles upon 3 trolls. Ruh-roh.
Now, we're not talking like the cute little trolls with the like colorful hair.
No.
That they just made a movie about. Mm-hmm. No, not those kind of trolls.
No, we're not talking about the people who troll you in internet comm boxes either, right?
Yeah.
Not talking about trolls. Not talking about those trolls. We're talking about big monsters.
Yeah.
Right, that eat people.
Yeah.
And
are really ugly.
And dwarves. Right. And whatever other meat they can find.
Yeah.
Right. Creations of Morgoth.
Yes.
Right. Originally.
Mm-hmm.
So, oddly enough, these trolls all have really nice names. You got William.
Oh yeah, William. That's right.
And you got Tom.
So funny.
This is, I think, one of the first instances in The Hobbit of a thing that Tolkien would have liked to have gone back and erased and changed.
You think
altogether.
so? You don't think he did this on purpose?
I know so.
Oh.
I asked him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well. You're on top of
and he wrote a letter
things.
to me. He wrote a letter to me about it. So.
William, Bert, and Tom.
Yeah. So, in the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, page 191 here. Let's see. The letter is actually, in case anybody has a different edition, it's a letter to Peter Hastings, who was the manager of the Newman Bookshop, a Catholic bookshop in Oxford. And he had written this really long letter. It's a great letter, by the way. There's a lot of good stuff in this letter. But Tolkien talks about trolls a little bit in this, and he says he gives a lot of thoughts on where trolls came from. I'll talk about that in a second. But he actually says here, he says because so Hastings had said the trolls aren't all bad, are they? Because the one in The Hobbit pities Bilbo, right? He pities Bilbo, and Tolkien was like, I think you're taking me a little too literally there. And he says, I might not. If The Hobbit had been more carefully written and my world so much thought about 20 years ago, have used the expression "poor little blighter," just as I would not have called the troll William. Right? So he says right there he wouldn't have called it, and I assume he wouldn't have called the other trolls Tom and Bert. Right? He probably would have called them more like Garshnart, right? To use an orc name that you inadvertently came up with many episodes ago. A more orcish name.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Instead of naming him after the Prince of England, right? Prince William.
Yes.
William is a very proper name, isn't it?
Yes, William is. He didn't even call him Will. He calls him William.
William.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a touch of the kind of the talking down tone to telling a cute story to kids kind of thing that Tolkien shortly after he wrote the Hobbit kind of wised up to, and and he actually really condemned that form of storytelling on fairy stories.
The kind of like talking down, you mean?
Yeah, where you're like, you make those cute little asides like, and these children were the trolls named William, Tom, and Bert, right? They have normal names, right? Like, or whatever. It's kind of the winking asides,
okay.
Right?
Yeah,
and you find some of that in The Hobbit, right?
Yeah.
Tolkien, he kind of repented of that, right?
Interesting.
After writing this book. Now, they later on published a second edition of The Hobbit, and he didn't change it in there, right?
Yeah.
Of course, and that we actually have the later edition of The Hobbit. That's the one where most of us are used to reading. He obviously would not have named this troll William, and I assume he wouldn't have named the other ones Tom and Bert, right? According to this letter he wrote in the 50s to Peter Hastings. So, just an interesting little note there. And,
it is an interesting note.
And by the way, Tolkien, and I always fail to find the reference to this, so I know I've read it. Tolkien later on in life desired to go back and rewrite The Hobbit more in the style of The Lord of the Rings.
I think you've mentioned that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He just never got around to it, right? But I think he grew less and less fond of The Hobbit as his life went on. Even though I think The Hobbit has become its own thing. It's its own sort of. It is a little more fairy tale-ish,
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And maybe a sense we're all more used to, and that's fine. Like it's we enjoy it and everything, but for whatever reason, these trolls are named William, Bert, and Tom, right?
Yep.
And just maybe they just decided to have those names because they had spent too much time among men, eating men and that kind of thing, and adopted their names or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, there's probably no really good way of explaining it in a consistent way with the rest of Tolkien's universe. But anyway, trolls. Now, trolls are they are counterfeits, right? So they're like orcs, where they're made as a kind of mockery and a perversion of good creations, right?
Okay.
So that's an important thing also to take away from this letter. So he says, I think that trolls are mere counterfeits, and hence they return to mere stone images when not in the dark. But there are other sorts of trolls beside these rather ridiculous, if brutal, stone trolls for which other origins are suggested. Of course, since inevitably my world is highly imperfect, even on its own plane, nor made wholly coherent, our real world does not appear to be wholly coherent either, and I am actually not myself convinced that, though in every world on every plane all must ultimately be under the will of God, even in ours there are not some tolerated subcreational counterfeits. When you make trolls speak, you are giving them a power which in our world probably connotes the possession of a soul. But I do not agree that my trolls show any sign of good, strictly and unsentimentally viewed. I do not say William felt pity, a word to me of moral and imaginative worth. All right, it is the pity of Bilbo and later Frodo that ultimately allows the quest to be achieved, and I do not think William showed pity. So all it is to say, the trolls are evil creatures, right? According to Tolkien.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They're counterfeits. They are, I think in a way, the best way of understanding what trolls are along with orcs is Aule, right, creates the dwarves. And he shouldn't have, but he did. But he creates them from a good motive, right? Like he wants to create beings like the children of Iluvatar for a good purpose,
good.
right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of, even though he's impatient and he does it too soon, he does it with the heart of Iluvatar in mind, right?
Right.
Morgoth, on the other hand, creates his counterfeit works against the heart of Iluvatar.
Right.
Right? Going against the heart of Iluvatar.
Yes.
And so they're far more imperfect, and they like turn to stone when the sun comes up.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, so they're imperfect in ways like that. Anyway, I just thought this was an interesting little note to bring out in this chapter where we're talking about trolls.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty. So Bilbo, he comes upon the trolls and he's listening to them talk about how they want to eat man flesh and they're hungry for for better food. They're sitting there eating roast mutton,
Which is lamb, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sheep. I
Sheep.
think. Yeah, like a grown
like
lamb.
full size.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Bilbo finds within himself the courage to actually go and burgle something.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, he does.
He decides that he's going to make a go for it. So a big step for Bilbo there. Mm-hmm. And he actually almost pulls it off. The problem for him is that this is an enchanted little wallet, and it squeaks at him. Hey, who are you? Right? And then all of a sudden, William turns around and grabs him by the neck. Right?
Darn talking wallets.
Wallets. Yeah.
Who would have thought that a troll would have a talking wallet? He probably burgled it from someone else.
Well, he's probably concerned. Well, maybe, but he's probably concerned about it being burgled from him.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised a troll has a wallet in the front. Like, what's he keeping in the wallet?
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Treasure, I guess. I mean, we probably think of like the little wallet like we carry around, but it's probably just more like a bag, that he kept treasure in or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Bilbo is caught, and he says he's about to say he's a burglar, and then he says, I'm a hobbit. And then they hear Burr a hobbit, and he doesn't know how to make owl noises. So he's in trouble.
All right, because that's what the dwarves had told him to do.
Yeah.
If he got into trouble, was make owl noises.
Hoot.
Yeah.
It was hoot once like a
it was different types of owls, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Bilbo's like, I don't even know what an owl sounds like.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't find it. Anyway, so Bilbo tries to convince them not to cook him and eat him.
Right.
He's doing his darndest to keep that from happening. And it doesn't take much to get the hobbits to start, or I'm sorry, the trolls to start fighting amongst one another. William actually wants to let him go for some reason, right? And again, I'm not sure exactly why William ultimately wants to. It does seem like he's kind of pitying him. Poor little blighter, let him go, right? Mm-hmm. And that gets Bert mad at William because Bert wants to eat him. So they're kind of going back and forth, and then the dwarves start showing up in small groups and getting caught. Balin.
Right. Because they're worried about Bilbo now.
By the way, just on the note of trolls' names, Bill actually has a last name, Bill Huggins.
That's right, he does.
Right. So that's William, right? So
right.
William Huggins, right?
William Huggins.
Right.
He sounds like like he should be Barney's friend or something. Like Barney the dinosaur. Barney and Bill.
Sounds like a chimney sweep from Mary
Poppins. That too. Either one. Yeah.
Anyway, so the dwarves all get nabbed. Now, to be fair, Thorin does put up a pretty good fight. He grabs a big branch, sets it on fire, and pokes Bert in the eye. But William pops it's 3-1, and William pops the sack over Thorin, so Thorin's caught as well.
Right.
Just as this is happening, Gandalf comes back, right? It's looking pretty bad for all the dwarves and Bilbo. And just as this is happening, Gandalf comes back, but they don't know it. And Gandalf starts doing his thing, throwing his voice.
Throwing his voice. Ventriloquism.
That's right.
Wait,
ventriloquism, that's right.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. So, and Gandalf successfully gets them to fight amongst one another.
Right,
and keep
because
fighting
they think it's the trolls think it's the other trolls that are speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they all go back and forth, and then suddenly, Dawn take you all and be stone to you, right? The trolls turn into stone as the sun comes up and shines upon them because they're supposed to go back underground
right
when the sun is up.
Right.
So, sad day for the trolls, happy day for the dwarves, and for Gandalf,
right,
and Bilbo. So, they go on and they find the trolls' loot. Right, they discover the trolls' loot, and they find some. Not only do they find clothes and food, it smells really bad.
Yeah, of course it does.
But they find some weapons as well.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Two big time swords.
Bilbo finds a short sword, or what would have been a pocket knife for a troll, but
right,
it turns out to be a pretty good short sword for a hobbit. And it looks like they have averted disaster.
Yeah, and they've gained some things that they need. So
yeah,
it was a happy fault.
Right.
Maybe.
Most def.
Yeah.
Oh, happy fault. Oh, happy fault indeed.
Yes.
So yeah, and then they're off to Rivendell, as they say, and Bilbo's wondering to himself, what's Rivendell, and who are Elrond's people?
Right.
And we're all like, oh, you're about to find out, Bilbo.
Mm-hmm. You have no idea what's in store.
Yeah, anything from this chapter that you think is worth highlighting more or talking about a little more deeply?
That's a good question. I feel like we covered it pretty well. I always really enjoy this chapter because I think it's, it's kind of just when you think it's going to turn into this huge dark disaster, it ends up being kind of this comical, little minuet.
Right.
Is just kind of an unexpected turn.
Yeah, a little eucatastrophe here.
Yeah, a little
right?
Eucatastrophe.
With
exactly.
Gandalf returning.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, Gandalf had been gone because he was off scouting, right? He was scouting the trail ahead.
Right. He wanted to see what was on the road.
Yeah.
Ahead. Yeah. No, I think it's good. And by the way, it was a screech owl and a barn owl. Those were the two owls that he was supposed to imitate.
Come on, Bilbo. Everybody knows the difference between a screech owl and a barn owl.
But, I wonder if he decided not to say anything about not knowing because he didn't want to be precise.
Oh.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, he was just kind of like, I don't know what either one of those owls are, but whatever.
They were precise.
They were. You mean
they told him not to be precise, and then in the same chapter, they're all like getting precise on him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying double standard.
As in the naming two different owls, is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's kind of messed up.
that is kind of messed up.
Yeah.
But if it weren't for that darn talking wallet, he would have been home free.
Do you think they took the talking wallet with them?
Yeah. Why wouldn't they have?
Well, because it might make noise at the wrong time.
Yeah. I don't know. If I found a talking wallet, I would definitely take it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Well, not if I needed to be quiet where I was going. Because what if it just feels like starting talking?
I think you're overthinking it. I think you're being too precise. If you find a wallet that talks, you take it because then you train it to only speak when you want it to speak. Right?
Yeah, I guess that's a pretty good point.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty valid.
Yeah. I mean, Gandalf, I'm sure, could put some kind of spell on it.
Maybe Gandalf kept it. He's like, I'll take that talking wallet.
I'll take the talking wallet.
That's my talking wallet.
I was going to say, it was probably his to start with.
Come on.
He's like, sweet. Nice. I've been looking for this everywhere.
Gandalf and the talking wallet. Sounds like a short story.
It kind of does.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, no, it's good. Gandalf and the talking...
And the talking wallets. Gandalf and the Talking Wallets. Yeah.
Like maybe a kids band, like the Wiggles.
What?
Like the
Who are you?
Huh? The Wiggles. You know who is it? Not it's not the Wiggles. No, it's not the Wiggles, is it? I think that sounds to me like a band for kids that would sing cute little like kid songs.
Get out of here with that.
No, it's true. That does not sound like a legit band name. If you want to be taken seriously.
Moving on, it's Haiku Time.
Oh, do you have the song queued up this time?
No.
Are you for real?
Oh, sorry. Well, we can't. It doesn't. Like.
Okay, fine.
It doesn't work to do that unless I move the microphone around. Which,
did it not work last time?
I don't think we did it last time.
Yeah, you did.
Did I do it?
Yeah, you did do it.
Okay, well, maybe it'll pick up a little bit. Let's see if I can find it here.
I mean, a little bit's still going to be better than nothing.
Oh, I did it on my phone last time. That's what I did.
Oh.
Pull it up on the phone. Here we go.
Any day now, John.
Haiku
Any day.
Song.
Because I remember we sang, so you must have pulled it up. Do, 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 do. There it is.
That's not the one.
No, wait, that's not it. That one's cool, though.
Ah.
There it is. Who's going first?
I will.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 syllables in haiku.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 syllables in haiku.
Man, you're all up in that microphone's face.
You told me to be.
Well, I told you to, like an inch or two away.
Well,
But you're all like, what's up?
you're always telling me I don't talk loud enough, so I'm trying to make
You're
it
doing much
better.
You're doing much better this episode.
Probably because I've been all up in the microphone's face.
Yeah, you find a balance.
Okay.
You're doing good.
Sorry,
I'm just
I know.
messing with you.
Microphones are new to me. I'm not a rock star like some people.
Yeah, well, no, neither am I.
Well, wannabe rock star. Maybe that's what I should say. Anyway, who's going first?
Just call me Mick. Mick Jagger. I don't know.
I got
Whatever.
the moves like Jagger. Got the moves Jagger.
What are you doing?
That's a song
By who?
by the moves like Jagger. I don't know. It's like Bruno Mars or something.
Goodness
I'm
gracious.
not sure.
All right.
I might about to be fired, guys.
Okay.
That didn't even make sense.
Time for the
Rock, paper, scissors. Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I win.
You win.
I'm going to go first. Okay. Attempting to prove his worth, Bilbo instead proves a thief he is not.
Ooh, that was good.
Was that good?
You threw me for a loop there with a thief. He is not.
That was my intent.
That was a little Burt Macklin-ish.
The
right
delivery. That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad I succeeded.
You rocked that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Your turn.
My turn. Out in the lone lands, some kind of strange fire. Someone shed some light on this.
Boom, ching.
Oh!
Good one. I like that.
I kind of liked it too. I think you win.
Did
I thought I was pretty proud of mine this week, I think you win.
How interesting. I wanted to go first because I thought yours was going to be better than mine.
Well,
But, I'm glad that maybe I was wrong.
I think you nailed the delivery.
The
was the real
delivery.
big thing. Mine may be better on paper, but like yours, the delivery, just like I was like, oh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Right on. Okay. That's all for this episode, everybody.
Wow.
Thanks again to our patrons, y'all rock. Our executive producer, once again, Sharon Burgess, as well as Chuck Farnung, David Dickinson, Bill Richardson, Katie Knorr, Al Taylor, Joseph Maimone, Michael Martini, Brian Orr, Emilio Perea, Eric Bissett, Kelly Knotts, Amanda Kaiser, Kate Watts, Daniel Delaney, Chris Loftus, Gianni DeMaya, Per Brenner, and William Sutherland.
You guys are the best.
You guys rock.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we will talk at you next time. Next time, Chapter 3.
Chapter 3 of The Hobbit.
A short rest.
Coming right at you. Mm-hmm. All right.
Now we will take a short rest.
Indeed.
As we prepare for a short rest.
Perfect. All right.
Right on.
Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
y'all.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Please remember to check out truemyths.org and TolkienRoad.com for show notes and plenty of other Tolkien goodness. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, please leave the Tolkien Road a rating and feedback on iTunes or your podcast app of choice, and stop by our Facebook page to say hey. On the next episode, we'll continue our journey through The Hobbit with Chapter 3, A Short Rest. Please send correspondence to TolkienRoadPodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, the road goes ever on.